Now, get the automotive bondos out of it, I can start to work on it.
Okay, this is the beginning of prepping your area. What we run into here is this is paint over top of gel coat. Now what happens when you have paint over top of gel coat, whenever you're trying to get it into a fiberglass repair, you run into all this gum. This gums up your abrasive paper and makes it useless. So it goes from actually cutting into it to just polishing. And so you've got to get in here, you've got to taper off your edge, you're going to have to make your roll come over and come down, and this is a cutoff lip. So what I'll have to do is I'll actually have to thin this out significantly. Well, I shouldn't say significantly, but I'm going to have to thin this edge here out so that I'll have something to tie into, bring it up, and make my curved side where the pieces go over, and so that your rub rail can bolt back on. This is going to be cleared out a little bit more with the abrasive paper. I've got a spot of paint right here still on top of gel coat, and I just took a break to shoot this little quick video. Now what we're going to need is we're going to need a brush for application. You can use a brush, that's fine for this, because you're actually going to push the bubbles out. You're going to need your fine roller. You're going to need a stick to stir it with. You're going to need your, well, depending on what type of fiberglass you use, you're going to need your hardener. I like a little acetone for cleanup. I keep these in smaller bottles. Now, this is peroxide based hardener, and it's put in at 1% to this type of resin that I'm using. This is just an extra resin container being repurposed. Now you can get your 1% by measuring it out here. 1%. That means if you have 100 ounces, you will put 1 ounce to 100 ounces. So we don't have 100 ounces. We're not even going to use, maybe total will be 8 ounces on this in 3 applications. So we're going to be doing very small applications. So it will be measured out, and it will be drops that are added to the resin to make it harden. Never go and say, oh, it's a cold day, I'm going to quadruple the hardener. Because what happens is, instead of having a slow cure, you have a fast crystalline action and it cracks. And then you have a weaker fiberglass repair than the rest of the structure. And you're always going to have a soft spot in that area or a failure in that area. Now, personal watercraft are already made thin. They're about as thin as fiberglass can be on these newer models. So you have to be careful of what you do. Now, if you'll come around here, you can see an old repair on this fiberglass. And I don't know if the camera will do it justice, but if you look at this, it's ugly as my fingernail, isn't it? This looks like it was repaired with bubble gum. So I'm going to try to make this look a little better and grind out some of whatever fillers in here and put it back to where it looks decent. Now, these are rental jet skis, and if you're interested in renting one of these jet skis on Lake Norman, then I will leave a link down below so that you can get in touch with one of the girls over at the rental place and go out and have yourself some fun on the lake. So, basics that are going to be needed today. We're going to need a brush for application. We're going to need a stir stick. We're going to need MEKP. We're going to need resin. We're going to need a container to mix it in. And then we're going to need some fiberglass to apply. But that's all going to be after I clean cut all of the paint off of this. I don't want anything here. I want a clean surface straight back to this line, because the more area I have to give me an adhesion with my glass matting as I come across and tie it in and rebuild this hole that got knocked in the vessel, the happier I am. And yes, I am super OCD on my fiberglass repair. And I would rather, in my opinion, my professional opinion, over time of doing this, I would rather build it thick with fiberglass and grind it down. I would rather take the time to grind it down than to use a lot of filler. I am not an advocate of filler. I believe that you can do it with fiberglass if you take the time, and then your gel coat. And then, so I'm going to go through a couple of steps on this that I do to repair fiberglass. And if you're going to like this, then hey, tell me about it in the comment section below. But I'm going to end this video here, and the next video will start with the application of resin and glass. So I'm going to start trying to teach you what I know the same way that someone did for me when I was a young man. Like, subscribe, and follow.